Hey guys, welcome to the Pizza Roll Diaries. I have with me tonight good old Mike Longo. You guys know him as Captain Kirk or Admiral Kirk, depending on which film you have seen him in and what he's done. Mike, how are we doing this morning?
I'm doing terrific. Good morning.
Good. All right, and in the chat with us this morning, we have William Jackson. William, how are we doing this morning, my friend? He says, happy, wish it was Bloody Mary Sunday. Did I type that out loud? Right on. I think a lot of us wish that this morning, my friend. We also have Brian England. Brian, you said made it with time to spare. Well, good deal, man. Good deal. Let's see. We also have Jim's Landscape, LLC #1.
Oh, yeah.
Good old Commodore Boone. All right. It was a rainy day today, so all right. So we got you. No mowing the lawn this morning. You're with us. Good deal. Let's see. Let's see. We have. Nope. Didn't get lost in space, man. Nope.
Well, I'm prepared for Lost in Space because I've got my favorite robot in the world right here. Lost in Space robot.
Dude, I love that robot voice, man. That's one of the most recognizable robot voices, man.
Oh, yeah.
Then we have Star Trek Fan Productions International. Good morning. William Jackson says, hey, STF. So with that going on, Mike, you and I have chatted quite a few times, just kind of bullshitting around, and I always feel like we never get the full scope of our conversation. It always seems to get cut short. So I want to say thank you for coming on the Pizza Roll Diaries with me this morning. How did you get your start in fan films? Because when I first saw you, I loved it. I was like, that guy's Jim Kirk. I love it.
Thank you very much. Well, I had never planned on being in any fan films, but it all started with my good friend David Chang, and I'd seen him at a few conventions, and when the Star Trek people congregate, they start taking photos together and chatting and this sort of thing. So I'd seen him at a few conventions, and then he asked me one time, like, well, would you be interested in being in a fan film? And I said, sure. Because, secretly inside, we all want to do something, fun and cool like that. But, it's not something that we share normally because we're like, oh, are people going to judge me or what,
I think you're the first person to ever say that Star Trek fan people are cool. Like, that's like nobody ever calls us cool.
I think we're cool.
There you go.
Honestly, here's what's cool about Star Trek people. And in many fandoms, but especially Star Trek people, and I think that has to do with the Star Trek philosophy and the Gene Roddenberry's Idic, is that really cool with each other. We're very accepting, we're very tolerant, and it's all about friendship and the community, and those are like the themes that continue on with Star Trek, and that's what I get from you. That's what I get from David and my other friends, and just about everybody I've met. Like when I went to the Las Vegas convention, it was a totally different vibe than the other conventions I've gone to. That was the first one I'd gone to. Gosh, with the COVID thing, I don't know how long ago it was. Like a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just this very friendly vibe. And even with the celebrities that are there, they were really engaged with the fans, and that's not what you see at most conventions. And so, yes, Star Trek fans and people are very cool.
Well, you brought a certain type of energy to the Captain Kirk role, and for for my take, I had always had the mentality of, fuck that. I don't want Captain Kirk in my films. I don't know. But when I saw your performance, and of course, anyone that knows me knows that I'm terrible with names. I never remember them. But it was the one where you were You were sword fighting.
Oh, that's the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. Then we're feeling it out, you know, like, okay, yeah, I think this is how we'll do it. I learned a lot of things on that very first one, but
what was the name of that one?
The Human Adventure.
That one. And anyone that hasn't seen that one, I recommend go check that one out. That was the very first one that I saw Mike in. And you were playing like the one thing that I loved about that was, first off, you guys were in motion picture era uniforms, which is very rare for a fan film. So first off, you guys stood out like a sore thumb, and I was like, that's great. Second of all, you guys had Captain Kirk, which I was like, Kirk? Okay, all right, I'll give this a shot. And you played Kirk in a way that was Kirk, but it wasn't Shatner. And most people, when they play Kirk, they try to do their interpretation of Shatner, and it just comes across as a poor knockoff. Yeah. And that's what I think is just it turns me off of it. And you just did such a wonderful job of playing that character. What was it like stepping into that role?
Well, a lot of pressure, really. I mean, like, you know, on one hand, you're really excited. Someone asked you to be in this film. We're going to be in costumes. We're going to be doing this and that. We're going to have swords. Come on. That's great. But the other part is, well, you have to play a character that everybody knows, and he's such a standout as far as the way he acts. You know, it's so unique. That's where the pressure comes in. It's like, oh, I can't. If I do an impersonation, it's going to look like a cartoon,
right?
You know, it's like Kevin Pollak doing his famous version of Kirk, you know, for an audience, you know. But that's comedy, and so I thought, well, maybe I could do a few Kirkish things, you know, with my hands or my, you know, the gestures of the face. But I won't be able to maintain like an impersonation for like more than like 10 seconds. So I thought, well, I'll try to act as much as I can, you know, for performance sake, because there's a lot of dialogue in that. So I'll try to perform and maybe find somewhere between Shatner and somewhere between me, so I can act and tell this story, but just give enough little bits and pieces that are you know, Kirkish in some degrees. They're like, oh, okay, I know who he's supposed to be. He ain't doing it, but who he's supposed to be, and that's where I found it. And that first one, you know, was like, oh, I think I need to do that. Well, you know, after you do it, you're like, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. I should have done this. And then the next films, I changed the things, and I think it actually got a little bit better to me.
Well, that's the thing. Like a lot of people, again, that have played the role, I think, and I know there are some that would disagree with me. They, you know, I feel at least they do that interpretation of William Shatner, and there's enough William Shatner and Kirk, you know, that you can kind of look at that and draw inspiration. Say, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't. Let's take this and let's draw inspiration, but let's make it our own. And I feel like from your performance, like you can see that. You can see enough of Mike, but you can also see enough of Kirk. But the William Shatner-ish, there's a little bit under there for foundation, you know, and I really felt like it was a strong performance where you could see your acting skills. Because again, that's what it's not mimicking, it's acting, you know, and there's a very big difference there. And the story itself, I felt was really a really good story. What was it like working on that particular story in general as your first outing?
Well, it was very interesting because David's idea was to go off of a reference in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and early in the film, it's mentioned that Admiral Kirk is going to be meeting with Admiral Nagora for a very short meeting, and it has to do with the mission and everything that's going on. And so the question was like, what did they talk about? What did they do? And for me, what David did was, you know, he fleshed out what was going on, but he focused on their relationship as well. And so that's where like the sword fighting and comes in, a little bit of razzing. But he really, like in your films, he gave these people a history, a background. They don't go describing the history, but in just the way that they're speaking with each other, you can tell that
you feel
you feel that they know each other and that they've experienced some things together before. So they have a history, and that's what I really like about your films. Is I think your films are very much grounded in a reality that these people all know each other, through the for like maybe 20 years, in some cases, or just a few years. They all know each other. They all or know of each other in this universe, and I really like that.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing I do love about the productions that David does. That I've seen. Um, it has that sense of familiarity with the characters, the actors. Even the new people that have come on. They're just like, oh, I haven't seen this face before, but it does have the sense of they must have all played together at some point because they seem familiar. Whereas some fan productions, you can tell they're reading a script. You can tell that they have memorized the lines. They're not just being the character. And the thing I love about David's productions is you guys just seem to be the characters being the character. They seem very grounded. They seem very in that world. And that's why like I've reached out to him to ask him to be Nagura in my films because I was such a big fan of his performance as well.
Yeah, David really has a good presence on film, I think, and I think he has a tonality with his voice. It sounds like I can believe that guy is a leader because he's got this booming voice, and it's like look, he's Nagara. You better listen to him.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like he reminds me of like a parent where when the parents like most parents say, who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? Like he doesn't have to. He just has to look at you and say, cookie. Like he already knows. Like yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. He's always like 10 steps ahead of you, and he just cookie. Like oh damn it, he knows.
Yeah, that's the role of Nagara, at least how I perceive it. Because he's molded a little bit of what Kirk's career is, and he's got that certain position within Starfleet where he has to have his eye on everything and try to maintain the sanity and the whatever.
yeah, no, he really does like that. Like watching David play Nagura, it's definitely helped shape how I've written the character for my films because a lot of the times he's kind of. And I think bad guy is too strong of a term for my films, but definitely like if I'm over here, he's over here. He's always opposite of me in the scene, but never in a way that he's the bad guy. He's always playing opposite of me, but it's always in a way where it's like he is ahead of me and he knows more than I do. And my character always seems to hate that, but I always write that because I'm like, I know David can pull it off, and he's so good at what he does. And he's so charming, it's like, damn, and not a lot of people can pull that off. But that was one thing that I loved about that first, was your guys' chemistry on screen. And like I said, I had never wanted to have Kirk in one of my films. I always thought, no, because everybody wants to either be Captain Kirk in their own film or their own version of it. Like, I get all the ladies. I'm the best captain. I'm jumping.
Yeah, I got the ship.
Yeah, and I hate that. That drives me nuts. But seeing your performance, I was like, this is a guy that he brings the Kirk, but he doesn't bring the ego. And I loved that. So you've done a total of you were writing it out, and you've done 12 or you've done 10, but you're working on a total of 12.
2 more. Yeah, a total of 12. And it's like last night I was just making a few notes for myself. This podcast, right? And I'm like, well, in case I blank out, what am I going to talk about? And so I thought, just list a few things, And I was surprised to know that I've been in 10 films, and 2 more on the way, like you said. And I thought I was like, oh, I've done 6. There's a lot more there. I was like, wow, okay. And each one, I think we get better because on this end, I mean, you've been doing it forever, so you have everything down. And so, like, that first one we did with David, Human Adventure, that was sort of our testing ground, technically, and acting, vocal, all this stuff. And then by the next one, we were a little more polished. And that second one is actually still in production because we were shooting right before the lockdown, and then we're separated, and we did all these other films trying to figure out what we could do separately. And so when things finally lighten up, we're going to go finish that second film. And I don't know what I was talking about.
Well, which film would you say kind of stands out to you as kind of a personal favorite besides the Human Adventure? Because we've kind of discussed that one. Which one would you say has kind of stood out to you as being one of your personal favorites?
Well, there's moments in each one, and and of course, with being biased, I look at my performance, and the ones that I can not cringe as much are my favorites. But I have to say, one of my favorite moments. Well, there's lots of moments, like there's moments in Peace and Goodwill with David, and Look Forward to the Day. There's a few moments, and but in particular, Requiem that I did with you the first time I worked for you. That one gives me a lot of pleasure, and I watched it again last night. You and your editors and your composer, Adam Mullen, gave me like the best gift, Kirkish gift ever. It's like when I first appear on the monitor, it's like, who's calling Menard? Who is it? And the music starts building up a little bit. It's like, what's going on here? And then it shows me, and it's Kirk doing that. And then you hear like a few notes of the Star Trek theme, but the music's like still building, right? And then so it cuts back to Menard, like, what the heck is? Oh, it's him. And it cuts to me again. I'm still not saying anything. It's still, hey, it's me. Audience, recognize who I am. And then back to Menard, and then back to Kirk, and then he finally starts talking, but the music crescendo, and it's like, da 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 da, it's Kirk, and it was like a whole Kirkish moment, and it's great because it's all about me. It's scary but fun, right? Because that's the sort of thing. If it really were Shatner making a new cameo in a show, that's exactly what they would have done. They would have draw it out a little bit, and then boom, give the audience a moment for that audience, that recognition, and like, oh, it's him. Oh, I can't believe it. Okay, quiet. They're going to talk now. Mm-hmm. They do that in movies when the big story. You guys did it for me, and it's like, boy, what a gift. Because like I could show that to my daughter. I was like, look, it's all about your dad. It's such a gift, and it's so much fun. And it's like we're playing Star Trek, and this is it, right? That's right.
Well, that was Adam, like the editor, he had that mentality of like, let's do this, let's really let's build that moment, for Kirk. And then Adam, like they're so clever, like they're more clever than I am, because I never saw anything like that, but both of them could bounce off of me, Yeah, like I'll take all the credit, but I never had any idea like that. I was just like, Kirk comes on screen, that's it, that's but the both of them, they're more smarter than I am,
They felt it.
Yeah, they really did, because it's like one saw it a certain way, and the other one was like, oh, I know exactly how to do this, and that's a testament to having good people work with you, is they see certain things, they're like, yep, I know exactly where to take this, because it's those moments that build the emotion, and that's ultimately, it's like you're talking about at the beginning, the cool thing, that's a cool moment in fan films, when you see something on screen, you're like, I've done a lot of things, but that's kind of cool,
Yeah, it's totally cool. And you guys gave me a great digital set. I had like the chevron behind me, and then there's a window, so you can see I'm in the space outside the space dock. Because you see like the ships flying by way out there, and it's like I love that attention to detail. So you guys really got a good machine over there.
I think for me personally, my and I don't get goosebumps often, but I do. For me, one of my favorite moments that I do kind of geek out over was when you do that Captain Kirk like turn around and you're on the Borg cube.
Yeah.
Because just by the turnaround, like Minard knows, he's like, Kirk, just by that right there, we know it's you. And of course,
he does. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I just like the fact that it's been like 100 years since Minard has seen you, but even Minard knows, it's ingrained in his head. That's how legendary it is.
That's a silhouette. I know. I recognize that.
I know that backside. I've been watching. Minard's a real creeper. It's you need to get that restraining order on Minard.
That's
right. That's why you're with the Borg, because you're like, that dude, that fucker needs to stay away from me.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing over there, but.
So you've been working with David for. See, now when I had talked to David, I assumed you guys have been working for like as long as I have, because you guys have that presence about you. David does, certainly.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah, he has that presence of like, I know what I'm doing. Kind of like a Ricardo Montalban, like just I have been around for forever, and I will, and I was surprised. It's only been a couple of years now.
Yeah, I think we've only been friends for about maybe 3.5 years. No more than that, I think. And we talk all the time. It's like there's a few of the people in these shows. We're always talking about ideas and stuff, like him and Jens Dumbeck and then some others, and it's like I talk to one of these guys at least once a week. We're talking about shows and stuff, and what do you think about this? And hey, how would we solve this if we did it? And then it's always a pleasure when we at the conventions. David and I will hang out. And oh, by the way, today's David's birthday. Happy birthday, David!
Happy birthday, David! Oh man! Well, happy birthday!
Yeah.
So you guys have.
We have a little history, but again, like with you, it's like when I'm around some of these folks, it's like, yeah, we're just in sync, and we carry on as if we've known each other, 20 years.
It definitely has that vibe. Like, it reminds me of kind of like the early days of the internet, like back when they still had like forums that you could go to. Now we have like internet, Facebook groups, whatnot, or what
Mm-hmm.
But back in the early days of like the internet, when you had those forums, and you kind of geeked out, and that's where you kind of I couldn't wait to get out of school, because I was like, yes, I can go talk with nerds, because whenever you try to talk to nerds in the whenever you try to talk to nerds in high school, you got punched in the belly, stuffed in a locker, get out of here, geek boy.
I kept my my geekdom in public as quiet as possible.
Yeah.
And in some ways I fooled my wife too. It wasn't until after we're married, it's like, oh yeah, like when I started to want to cosplay, she's like, you want to do what?
I
didn't tell you about that.
You waited till after the rig was on, then you're like, I gotcha. See, I wore my Star Trek communicator, which if do you remember the Playmates communicator, the big thick one?
Oh, yeah,
it was like that. It was so thick. Like now they've got them in a little chirp, but that one, you had it, but it kind of pulled down on your shirt because it was so heavy. Yeah. But I wore that because I thought, man, this is really going to show those guys, because you can press it and it makes a sound.
Yeah.
They're like, what is that, a brooch? I'm like, oh, I'm not cool. Yeah. You gotta, yeah. We just take it and put it in my backpack. It's not very cool. So I couldn't wait to get home and get on the message boards and be like, man, these are my people. And that's kind of what fan films feel like now. It's kind of a niche inside of a niche, like a a lot of people are like, wait, fan film? What's you know? And I feel like in recent years it's kind of gotten kind of positive glow, like especially with Star Wars fan films, like those have really blown up. You know, people have seen them, and some of the Batman ones.
I've worked
Now,
on a couple of Star Wars fan films.
I was going to ask about that. Because I saw you in some Jedi robes, a lightsaber, and I was asking, have you kind of crossed worlds there? What's going on?
Well, I'm a fan of Star Wars as well. You know, it's kind of 50-50 for me. I'm one of those that really enjoy both. And I enjoy both for different reasons. And but you know, they're all cool. And besides like Starfleet uniforms, I always wanted to be a Jedi. And so I eventually put together a costume, and I got into the Star Wars clubs. I'm in 2 Star Wars clubs, and because of the events that they do, they have to be screen accurate. And so, but that it's the screen accuracy really appealed to me too. And so, so I got into one with the Rebels, and then because I was a Jedi, I wanted to know. I was afraid that someone's going to make a call and you say, all right, you got a lightsaber, let's see how you use it. I didn't want to be all choppy like, hey, look, you know. So I joined another club where they actually do performances, and they have practice once a week. And I'm like, okay, this is starting to feel right. It's like martial arts. And so now I can wield it at least a little bit, and it's like, okay, you kind of sort of look like you know what you're doing. All right, you passed, you may go. And so yeah. So I've got some costumes there, and then being amongst the Star Wars people, there's some fan films being made. My friend Kiefer Jenkins, he makes them, and he makes them very well. He gets recognition at the film festivals, and he's always got something going on, a new production. And so it's a pleasure just to hang out with him, and it's just a lot of fun. And so I got to appear as a Jedi in a flashback sequence, and then I've been behind the scenes in production on at least 2 of his films.
Is this a film that's already on YouTube, or one that's going to be on YouTube?
Yeah. There's at least one of them out there. Well, I mean, he's got a bunch of films as far as my assistance with him. Yeah, it's online. Shadow of the Mandalorian.
Shadow of the Mandalorian?
Correct.
And that's when you're the flashback Jedi in?
Yeah, flashback Jedi. It's a very there's no words. It's just like it just establishes the fact that the main character has a history with the Jedi, and it's like a small clip, just a few moments of flashback during the Clone Wars.
That's still that is very cool. So what you're telling me is Star Trek fans can get along with Star Wars fans.
Absolutely.
It's not one or the other?
It's not one or the other for me. And I remember years ago, George Takei, he was like, we could all be together, with that voice of his, and another booming voice. And he's like, we will call it the Star Alliance. So Star Wars, Star Trek, we're together. And I think it's all part of Gene Roddenberry's edict that we all be friends. You can like it all. You like Babylon 5, and you can like Battlestar Galactica 2.
Do you watch Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah, I did. I loved it. The remake. Well, I liked them both. The original and the new one, and I absolutely loved the new one. It took me like 7 episodes before I really got in gear with it, and it's a great show. And one convention, I got to chat with Edward James Olmos, and he was the coolest guy. Because after they did their panel, he's like, "Yeah, just come on by. You don't got to buy anything. Just come and chat." And we talked about all kinds of stuff, and it was like no rush. It's just come hang out, chat. He was the greatest guy.
So I tell you that was I watched most of the remake. Because my wife had the tendency, whenever I'm not here, she'll continue watching the episode, and then I get back home and it's like 6-7 episodes later, and I'm like, thanks, hon.
Yeah.
So so exactly, she'll fill me in, and I'm like, okay, let's just keep going. So I need to go back and watch the whole thing again. But by the time we get to the ending, and she was like, hon, and she stopped me at the door. She's like, hon, I cried. I'm like, you cried? Why? What happened? And my wife doesn't cry. She's like, I teared up. We've got to watch the ending again. I'm like, all right,
Whoa.
well, you can watch it again. I'll watch it the first time. Let's go watch it. So when you get to the final episode, of that one, and you see the ship break apart, and everything, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, damn, spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it. If you haven't watched it by now, it's, go watch it.
Yeah, it's your fault if you haven't. But yeah,
Exactly.
the characters in that show, they go through hell. They get beat up. It's like it was like one of the grittiest things I saw. Reoccurring characters go through, and well, they don't all reoccur. And I thought that's some decent filmmaking there.
Yeah. Like I actually enjoy, like my favorite Star Trek is DS9, but my favorite sci-fi show is Battlestar Galactica.
Mm-hmm.
Because just the way they do their characters, like the way where they start is nowhere near where they end.
Yeah,
And there's so much character development, and just from a character point of view, for developing characters, from a story point study, that's exactly where you want to go. Those two shows, DS9 and Battlestar Galactica, are great things to sit there. If you're wanting to write a sci-fi or just a good character study, watch those two shows and be like, okay, I know exactly this is what we're going to do. The fan film I did, Break Free, if you watch that film and after you've watched Battlestar Galactica, that was my inspiration for doing that film, Break Free. Picking up the remnants of Wolf 359. We don't know if Starfleet even exists. We don't, like, that was my inspiration for that. Like a ship that we're out of contact with Starfleet. We're picking up the remnants. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what the future is. We're kind of losing hope. Like I really wanted to expand upon that, but I really didn't have the resources to. But I really wanted to kind of stretch that to give them.
That's a great premise, and but the scope, like I totally understand, the scope is so big that without $10,000 or $1 million, you can't really flesh it out.
Yeah, no, and they like those. Just the fact that it really did make you paranoid, and it gets you in the characters' heads, it gets you in the moment, and you're kind of sitting there and you're looking at everybody and you don't trust anybody, and you're just like, and you don't. And the thing is, like, you don't even trust going back. You're looking at past episodes, going, do I trust this moment? It's such a good show, man. And that's like, I really wish we had more Battlestar Galactica fan films. That's something, because I know we're doing Orville fan films, and that's something, like, I love the Orville just because of its comedic value, and I feel like it makes me feel like the Next Generation made me feel back.
Its thing, and I think they capture it very well.
Yeah,
the love letter to Star Trek.
Oh yeah, and I feel like that's something like where Battlestar Galactica really puts you through the ringer. I feel like Orville kind of gives you that sense of hope.
Yeah, that's another thing that's always been very Star Trek-ish is there is hope, or you got to aspire, and those very positive elements.
Is your hold on. William Jackson says, yes, vman, BSG, accept the challenge.
There you go, let's do it, let's write it.
I don't know if I can do that one, man. We'll never say never is the only thing I can say.
Well, so, if we did the old school Battlestar Galactica, we know people with those costumes, with the Cylon costumes.
Very true, very true. Now that would be yeah, we could do that. So I have never asked you which Star Trek is your favorite Star Trek. Is it the original series, or are you like me and you kind of moved to the other one? Because my favorite's DS9, and to me, it doesn't get any better than that. I could watch that over and over. But what's your favorite?
Well, DS9's pretty solid, but they all have something that is really great. I have a real affection for the original series. But
hold on. William Jackson's holding us to it. He says, copy that, Mike. He's holding us to it now. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Favorite show. I don't know. I kind of like the whole Star Trek universe. I do. I think I do favor the Next Generation a lot because I think that's really, taking upon the foundations of the original series and then really taking it out there and really, fleshing out what, Starfleet is about. And they had a chance to do it right with, a pretty decent budget. And from Next Generation just got better and better. And like I watched an episode of Voyager a while back, and all kinds of things are going on, and Janeway's giving the commands, making the quick decisions. And I'm like, damn, she's awesome too, And so there's something. That's my dog, quiet. There's really something about each show that really draws me in, and like I really like Janeway, and I love Picard, and I love Riker and Data, of course. And each show has got its own, slightly out of sync character. It's like you have like Spock, you have Data, or you have like the alien doctor in Enterprise, and so they all, help expand, what it is to be human. And so there's something about each one of these shows I really like. So I can't really say I haven't. Well, if I had to pick one I can only pick one to watch forever, I'll take the 7 years of Next Gen. But I really like them all.
Are you a fan of the modern Star Trek that they have out? Are you a fan of that, or is it something that you kind of feel like it's kind of overstepped? We've kind of gone to the well one too many times.
Well, I like it. I mean, I watch it, and I'm really looking forward to Brave New Worlds because what they've done with Captain Pike is like that. That's what I was expecting. That's what I was hoping for. It's like fill in that gap of those missing years on the Enterprise, and the main core of actors who were on the Enterprise at that time. I'm very excited about what they're going to be doing. As far as the rest of the new Star Trek is, it doesn't feel quite the same. I mean, I like it. It doesn't feel quite the same to me. And I realize they're trying to go a little more gritty, and they're and I appreciate the production value because it's just off the hook. It's totally motion picturesque. But I have little issues, and there's like stupid issues. It's like one scene on Discovery. There's this whole fight in a turbo lift, and so they're showing some shots, and so you get to see around the turbo lift huge expanses of space here and there. I'm like, whoa, this is a ship. You're gonna tell me there's all this voluminous, empty areas of warehouse in between every deck? It's like, hey, how many decks are on this ship? It looks like I can see 400 feet in this direction down, and there's like nothing in between. There's no storage. There's no structural support. What is that? And so little dumb things like that bother me. And but I don't mind them updating the look of the show so much. At first, it caught me off guard, but I like the continuity of all the other Star Trek shows. So but when they go changing like the looks of the Klingons, I'm like, I don't know. It takes some getting used to. So
yeah, that I think was one of the things that I didn't mind the look of the Klingons in season 2 of Discovery because it seemed like a course correction, with adding the hair. I was like, okay, that I can stomach that.
Was kind of not fitting, right? And
yeah,
so I appreciate that they made some adjustments.
Yeah, season 1 it was just like, this doesn't sit right.
I really enjoyed season 2. That one was really kick butt.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot more. Like season 1, there were things I liked, but it was just like, to me, modern Trek is, and again, I don't hate it. So anyone that thinks I'm shitting,
yeah, I don't either.
I'm not.
I do like it a lot.
But I remember, like as a kid, I lived for Saturday nights because Saturday nights you had an episode of TOS, and then following that you had an episode of a brand new episode of Next Gen, and I loved, even if it was a repeat of Next Gen, I lived for 8 o'clock Saturday nights.
Yeah,
fuck yes, yeah. I loved it. And modern Trek, I don't. It's like, it's on. Okay, I'll watch it. If I'm late watching it, I had other things to do. It's fine, But I do agree with Strange New Worlds, that coming back with Captain Pike, it's like I'm I'm excited, even though as a kid I hated, classic Star Trek, because of course who likes their parents' Star Trek? Nobody. No, I don't want to watch that fooey. Um, but this it makes me feel like I did when I was a kid, like seeing those classic bright colors, and I feel like it's something that, okay, maybe Royce can watch this, because Royce can't watch Discovery, because I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I feel like maybe he could watch Strange New Worlds, because just watching Anson Mount, I'm like, I think you would probably let. I trust you with my kid, man.
Yeah,
like
that
in
guy,
front of the
he
TV.
really nails it for me.
What's that now?
Anson Mount really nails Pike
Yeah,
in every way. It's like, dang, I'm watching Jeffrey Hunter, and it's
yeah,
better. He's just great. You know,
yeah. The thing that I think, like, the fact that, like, the one episode that I remember, it's when they go to that one planet where it has a bunch of Earth people on it, and they're kind of still practicing, like that old religion or whatever, about the Red Angel or whatever, and
oh, yeah.
and he's so respectful to their culture, their religion, and whatnot. And, like, for anyone that knows me, like, they know that I'm an atheist. Like, I don't believe in God or religions or whatnot. And it would be so easy for me to be like, fuck that shit. But I see someone that I respect that is like, no, 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 no. Because I don't have that belief doesn't mean I can't respect their belief.
Yeah.
And to me, like, so many atheists should have that mentality. Hey, because we don't have that doesn't mean we can't share that, doesn't mean we can't respect that.
Yeah, it
We need
doesn't
to
mean you're hateful or anything. It's just that you
exactly.
believe in something or you don't. Like I don't believe in astrology. But I'm not going to poo-poo somebody, even though I don't think what they're looking at is really giving them any benefit. But
Exactly.
they're getting another benefit, emotionally or something from it. So then I guess it makes it's just better for them. So it's okay.
Yeah. Well,
It
and
doesn't
that's the
affect me. It's okay.
well, and the thing is, like, it's, to me, looking at Pike, at least the way Anson Mount plays him, like, it makes me want to be a better person. And and
Yeah,
and,
he's
and
a
I
classy guy. He's a classy guy who knows his stuff and he does it well.
Yeah,
That's something we can all aspire to. It's like, all right, I could follow that guy, on a mission and
yeah,
with confidence.
yeah. It reminds me, like, the last time I felt that was Ben Cisco, when they were trying to get DS9. It's like, I believe in this guy because he reminds me of the qualities that I want to bring out in myself. Like,
Yeah,
not be a better Starfleet officer, but be a better man.
be a better
And that's,
person. Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
and
I
here I
agree.
am, like, 20 some years later, and I'm looking at someone else and I'm like, this is a brighter future, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, I mean, that all goes back to Gene Roddenberry. He's like, in the future, people, that's the goal. The goal is to aspire higher and to be better.
Yeah. Yeah.
In so many
So,
ways, be better.
yeah.
Be good to people.
So have you seen the new uniforms of Discovery? I got to ask this question because I'm a uniform guy, and like,
Okay.
I think that's half the reason why I make fan films, just because I'm like, oh, I got to wear that uniform. It's me just shoehorning myself into uniforms that I can't quite fit into.
Me too.
That I'm in good company. So have you seen the new uniforms for Discovery? What do you think of them?
I saw some photos, and here's my comment. Firstly, is Star Trek has so many uniforms. They always change their uniforms. And, oh my
Hmm.
God! It's like every new show, a new uniform.
Hmm.
Okay, every season now, a new uniform. Okay, is this merchandising? What the hell? Um, some uniforms are really cool. The latest one I saw photos of, and my first thought is, because I wear costumes, as a cosplayer, that it wouldn't be flattering to me. It wouldn't be flattering to my body, and I don't think what I've seen in the stills it doesn't seem very flattering to the actors, as far as making them look good. I mean, you got to have a uniform that makes you look good. So it's like, I want to wear that. I want to wear it out in public. Whereas other things, like, it's like, wow, like this I may make some people angry here, but the Star Trek the Motion Picture costumes are not my favorite. I like what mine looks like from like here, from the rest down. I feel like I'm in pajamas. I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna lounge around, because it didn't fit on me very well.
Mm-hmm.
And but anyway, the new ones, I'm not so crazy about.
I don't say if you wanna find a uniform that you'll absolutely love to hate, you should try the TNG season 1 uniforms. Those are.
Oh yeah, that would not work for me. I really like the first contact Nemesis kind of these on DS9 in a later season.
Yeah.
This gray on the top, black on the bottom.
Those are the best.
They're very comfortable too, and
yes.
That's another factor. It's like I want to be able to sit down. See, when I think about a costume, I think, how would you feel wearing it sitting down and standing up? Are you constantly like, oh, I gotta tug this and move that?
Well, and that, like, to me, like most people, it's like the reality of the situation. In a perfect world, your fat gut will never pop out. Not yours. I'm speaking just in general.
I got a fat gut.
But like for me, like I have to constantly position the camera so it's not like, hey, look at my belly rolls just popping out here. But the DS9 one, you can sit down. Oh, I think I heard my wife laughing in the background. She heard me talking about my fucking belly rolls. But like, the gray tops, with the the DS9 ones you were talking about, those ones, you can sit down comfortably.
Yeah.
You can unzip them and let it flow, or you can zip them up and let them flow. Like, they look nice. They're presentable. When you sit down, you can stand up. They're presentable. Like, no matter what, you look nice. They make you look they're not deceitfully thin, but they make you look nice. Whereas a lot of the other ones,
presentable. It's like,
yes.
I mean, if you're an officer in Starfleet, just like in any military, you gotta look good in the uniform. It's gotta be that, what we're talking about.
Hold on, I got
trousers bulging. Interesting. Who did that? Ian?
Yeah. I gotta know, Ian, what film are you filming? Because never mind, Ian. I don't want to know. We're good, Ian. Go ahead, Mike.
I was listening to a podcast, and it had members of the Voyager crew, and in one of the they described how Robert Picardo was the only actor after a few seasons who was not wearing a tummy tucking girdle thing under his costume. After a few years on the show, you're kind of comfortable, and you can start doing this. And he was the only one who was not wearing one. Like, okay, I don't know who the rest might have been who were wearing them, and it doesn't matter. But the fact is, the real Starfleet people wear something to hold it down a little bit. So that's encouraging for regular folks like you and me.
Well, it like, dude, I know I've gained a couple pounds since I first started, fan filming, and when, like, the first time, the first time I went on the bridge set, and this is a true story, I got one of those girdle things and put it on, because I was like, if I'm gonna be sitting at Scotty's station, I've got to get this thing under control, because I don't have a lot of time to get to the gym and exercise, and and oh my God, that thing was so uncomfortable, and it didn't help. And when I looked at it, when we started shooting, like, I looked at the camera, the first couple of times, it's like, this is, you can tell that this is, oh man, it looked like I was about to, like, one of those Pillsbury Doughboy, just
right.
Like, and one scene, like, Michael was supposed to come up and tap me on the shoulder, hey, how's it coming along? And I felt like if he does that, like, that's where I'm just, dude, I'm pop. That's exactly. So I was like, I was like, no, I got to take this off. Like, I'd rather just let it. I mean, it looks like it's hanging out anyway, so let's just like, who are we pretending? I'm fat. Like, just own it. Like, it's all good.
In this portrayal, I'm They'll have you.
There you go. That's it. That's it. Like I'd rather be a little plumpy than risk someone's life. You know,
That
it's
should
all
be
good.
okay. I mean, that should be okay in any kind of cosplay, because we're just expressing ourselves. It's like we're having fun, and that's what it should be about.
Yeah.
So we don't really need all that other stuff, because we're just having fun playing in the universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's exactly like at that point, like I was kind of taking myself a little too seriously, thinking, okay, got to be in line with Starfleet, got to do that, got to look and at this point, I'm like, I'm bald, I'm fat, I'm having fun. Like, let's just go have fun. We're good. We're good. Dude, you're the best Captain Kirk that's out there. I'm saying it right now. Like you are the best Captain Kirk. I've never reached out to anyone else to play Captain Kirk. You were the first one, and I've never regretted it once. So I mean, dude, even I never saw any gut on you, so I'm happy.
Oh, I did. And here's my thing with David. It's like, okay, I played Kirk like in the later years. Well, why do you have to pick like the thinnest Kirk for me to no flashbacks to the TOS, please? Because yeah, well, I say there should be no judgment in cosplay, but there will be judgment if I did that.
So, do you ever get any feedback from fans whenever you do? Because I've seen you take pictures with I mispronounce his name all the time, so I don't want to do that here. That's it.
Yeah, Jens Stumbeck.
Do you ever get any like negative type feedback, or is it because I don't see anything?
It's mostly positive, and it's really pleasurable to get such positive feedback, especially with a photo we just posted the other day. We did a thing looking down at us to reproduce a thing that was done back in the original series, and lots of positive feedback. It's so great, and then once in a while I was like, "Well, you're too fat," or like, "You don't look like him." No, that's fine. It doesn't bother me, because there's always going to be people who say that sort of thing, because if you're putting it out there, some of that is some people are gonna say what they will, but by and large, 98% has been very positive.
Well, that's something I've always told my people, like when we go on the bridge to shoot. I always tell them, I'm like, look, for every one comment that's negative, you're going to get 10 that are positive. But understand, you're doing something. You're sitting in these seats. Not many people ever get this chance to do this.
Yeah.
And for you're playing a character, regardless whether it's a picture or it's on film. Like you're doing something that not many people actually have gotten to do. Even if it's a fan film, like you're still getting to step into that role. Not many people get to do, and have as much fun that you get to do. I mean, he plays Spock. He's done that
very well.
Yeah, and he's done that how many times now?
Well, he's been doing he's the German Spock, and he's been doing it for a number of years. And I was actually a fan of his before I met him, and he just does it so well. And he speaks very, very good English, but I think the German accent really adds to the alien-esque aspect of Spock. So I'm like, he's really good. he's one of the most creative people I've ever met. And he's always coming up with ideas, and he had a comedy that we shot a while back, and he's pitching it to me, and I'm like, I don't know if we could pull that off. It's maybe it's too silly or something. But I trusted him because of what we've done so far together, and it worked. Wow. Okay. I don't question him. We just move forward, go boldly.
Well, I've reached out and asked him to do Spock in one of my films at some future point, and he's agreed to. If we once his schedule kind of slows down, and I was like, great. So now I just got to think of what story I want to do, and I'll be honest, like it's a little overwhelming to be like, man, this guy, he knows that character, he knows Spock, he really
reveres Leonard Nimoy, and he loves the Spock character. So he is totally faithful to what we think. Well, I think what we all can agree what Spock is. But he really loves Leonard Nimoy and has respect for his family, and he just wants to do good by them. And so he really loves Star Trek, and he and he does do actually other cosplays, but he is Spock. And we made a movie. He is Spock. We worked on a little short, a mini movie, and we're lucky enough to have Adam Mullen do the score for it too. And Adam did some nice tricks for us.
Yeah, Adam is one of those talented people. You know, I don't think he gets enough credit for everything that he does. He's he's done video game stuff. He's done fan films. He's done original content. I mean, every time I'm like, hey man, can you do something similar to this? He's like, oh yeah, give me, I can do that. It'll be a week before I can even start. I'm like, okay. 2 hours later, he's like, oh hey man, I finished this for you. I'm like,
that exactly happened to us on that comedy, and that comedy really, I think one of the music that he made for our comedy is really another character in this story. There's a bunch of gags, it's kind of strung along. And the music really ties it all together. Yeah. And the music is really important to that one. And he just cranked it out. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Let's take your seat. If it wasn't for the music, being so, good as it was, it'd been just you and me staring at each other for no reason for, 2 minutes.
You have to cut that one a little shorter.
It'd been just real creepy. Like, why are they still staring at each other? But anywho, so if one last thing before we go, because we're approaching the hour mark, and I never really stay past an hour because I never want to take up too much of your time. If you had to do one story on your own, any story that you could possibly tell, what would that story be?
Well, I did one already called Look Forward to the Day. There's a little bit of it about anxiety with the pandemic. But in the back of my mind, I've talked to David about this a little bit. It's adding some elements of horror into the Star Trek universe. You see little bits and pieces of it throughout. Like there's a few episodes of TNG which kind of like make you wonder like what's going on out there. I'd have to get into my plot to explain that, but I'm thinking more of like a classic Gothic horror in the sense of like in the Alien, Ridley Scott original Alien sense. And I'd like to introduce a little bit of that just as a oneer, not as a continuous thing, but just as a oneer, as if it would be maybe the prelude to a Next Generation episode. So, like a 20-minute prelude or a 15-minute prelude. So I'd like to do that.
That sounds cool. So do you see yourself being part of fan films for a great while longer, or is there a stepping away point that you think there might be, or?
Well, I've done so many back to back, but I'll keep doing them as long as people ask me.
Good deal.
Really, to be in these films is a lot of fun. There's the collaboration, there's the friendships, and it's fun to play in the universe that you like. And it's kind of a privilege, like you said. It's our chance to sit in the chair or to be on the bridge, and you don't get to do that all the time. Except maybe if you're at a convention and they have like a little mock-up. But you could be there, and there's music, and there's cutting back and forth, and so it's really it's just so much fun to be a part of those things, and to play with your friends, and so I'll do it until the end.
Well, it's kind of like Kirk was telling Picard, don't let him do anything to take you off the bridge of that ship, because while you're there,
that's it.
This is kind of our bridge, while we're here, enjoy it while you can, because we're not always going to have the chance to do this.
Yeah, and it's great to participate in things. You know, you can like, you know, watch things and judge things or whatever, but you know, if you can be in it and do it because it's fun and you have some, you know, cool pictures when you're an old dude and you look back, oh, look what I did. You know.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You know, and that's the thing. You know, it's you know, as a kid, you kind of dream of these things like, man, I'd love to play Star Trek, and now here we are, we're playing Star Trek. It's like,
We're
you know,
really
you
doing
enjoy it
it.
while you can. You know.
I know Jens and I, we were like, gosh, what, you know, where were you, you know, 15 years ago, you know, when we were younger, and so we could have done so much, but we have the
Right.
means to do it now with the, you know, technology getting easier to manage. But yeah, it's cool because, you know, I got these great photos and these great memories of, you know, doing events with people and troops with people, and maybe you know. When my daughter has grandchildren, or if there were grandchildren, you know, they'll stumble on a picture of me as a Jedi. Like, that looks like Grandpa. Yeah,
Be like, what? He's got a phaser in one hand, a lightsaber in the other. Oh my goodness, what is this?
yeah, yeah. So
Well,
I'll keep
good,
doing it.
good
Yeah.
deal,
So
good
ask me
deal,
again.
good deal.
Give me another job.
Well, don't forget they're going to hold us to that Battlestar Galactica one, so don't tempt them.
Very
So
interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting thing. Yeah.
right on, man. Well, all right. So everybody at home, I want to say thank you for joining us today, and Mike. Oh, Ian says great pizza roll.
Okay. Yeah,
Vance
where's
and
the
Mike.
pizza rolls? That's supposed to be like complimentary, right?
I'll ship them off to you. They'll come in
Oh,
your replicator.
great.
So if
Okay.
you got your replicator hooked up, they'll be coming through. So
Very good. Thank you for having me. I really
you're
appreciate it.
welcome. You're welcome. So everybody at home, be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.